Okay, are you ready? Here we go. Monday.
900 kilometres in 10 days.
The UK and Ireland.
Good morning to you. This is Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. It is Monday the 9th of September and tomorrow MPs will vote on scrapping the winter fuel payment for all but the poorest pensioners. There has been growing opposition to the policy, including from the General Secretary of the Unite Union.
He needs to be big enough and brave enough to do a U-turn on this choice. It's completely wrong.
That's Sharon Graham from Unite. Do you agree with her? Should the Westminster government backtrack on scrapping the winter fuel payment? 08085 92 95 00 is the number to call. Also coming up this morning.
They took a party on the fringes.
Transformation from being a bunch of idealists and dreamers
to a party in power.
That's when the Salmon Sturgeon partnership was really born.
Yeah, salmon and sturgeon. More on the new documentary titled A Troubled Union.
I brought along a curtain shoot to kick the ballistics. Come on!
We have our savings surgery this morning, helping you make the most of your money. So personal finance expert Jasmine Birtles is with us, happy to take calls on any aspect of your personal finance, whether it's savings accounts or pensions or other kind of investments. Any questions at all, call or text 80295. We'll speak to the ultra runner who plans to run the capitals. That's 900 kilometres in 10 days.
The UK and Ireland. 5 countries, 5 capitals, 900 kilometres between them. Let's go run the capitals.
Your mornings just got better.
This year on BBC Radio Scotland.
Get your questions in for our savings surgery. Jasmine Birtles standing by, waiting to help.
Now it's time for another great song. Here it comes.
Your telephone on BBC Radio Scotland.
All good, all good. Everybody, the blues. It's all good, all good. Everybody, love the blues. Yeah. The blues is something everybody go through. Yeah. From Mississippi to Arkansas, we all love the blues. Yeah. From Louisiana to Florida, we all love the blues. Yeah. From Alabama to Texas, we all love the blues. Oh yeah. Ooh, South Carolina and Georgia too. Oh yeah, listen. We don't wanna hear no rap. We don't wanna hear hip hop. I just wanna jam to the blues. So please, Mr. DJ, play them down on blues. Take us to the juke joint and a hole in the wall. I say the blues. Oh, it's all good, all good. Everybody, the blues, yeah, it's all good, all good. I said the blues, everybody, it's all good, it's all good. All week long, we listen to the radio. They played it right there. And then they play that old school. So when the weekend comes, we hear the blues. Yeah. The blues is something everybody go through. Oh yeah, yeah. We don't wanna hear no rap, don't wanna hear hip hop. We just wanna jam to the blues. Yeah, yeah. Please, Mr. DJ, play them down on blues. Take us to the juke joint, the hole in the wall. Oh, it's all good. Everybody, the blues. Oh, it's all good. Ain't never going nowhere. It's all good. It's all good. I said, ow!
We have a savings surgery this morning. Jasmine Birtles here, personal finance expert, to help you make the most of your money. So do get your calls in 08085 92 95 00. You can also leave a WhatsApp voice note or indeed a message on that number, and you can text on 80295. It is 10:15. Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. Now, with the 10th anniversary of the Scottish independence referendum approaching, a new two-part documentary called Salmond and Sturgeon, A Troubled Union, airs tomorrow night on BBC iPlayer. The main players need no introduction, of course, but here to tell us more about the documentary, producer-director Barry Ronan. Good morning, Barry.
Good morning, Kay. Thank you for having me on.
Not at all. And the title looks as if it kind of spells out the tone of this documentary, does it? A troubled union?
Well, I think it's, it's an ambiguous title. We look at, the whole history of the modern SNP from 1987 to 2023, and, it has its ups and it has its downs. So I think it's a fair reflection.
So you have sort of contributors, you have the main actors in that time period there. Who's going to be featured?
So we've got Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon themselves. We have John Swinney. We have Rosanna Cunningham. We have Angus Robertson, Humza Yousaf. And plus we have advisors like Jeff Aberdeen and Liz Lloyd. So, we've been really, really lucky with the degree of access we've gotten to the kind of inner workings of the party and the people who have really been at the coalface of the movement for the past, 35 years. Kenny McCaskill, Jim Sillars, Angus Robertson, the whole shebang.
And there any point of difference between these sort of main actors, or are they telling the story as they would collectively want it to be told?
I think there are points of difference. Yes, I think what I found fascinating about looking at the SNP as an outsider was, it's a very generational party. There's a big difference between the generations who came up in the years prior to devolution versus politicians who came up afterwards. There's a difference in terms of priorities and where they lay their priorities. And I think that's always been a bit of a tension within the party as a whole. So there are those points of difference. And, some of our contributors have since kind of splintered off. Kenny McCaskill is obviously a member of ALBA now, as is Alex Salmond. And those differences come through. So, every political party has different flanks.
Were there any surprises for you as to what you might have expected?
Yes, yeah. It was an incredibly eye-opening experience making this series. I think one thing that really kind of took me by surprise when I started this, compared to the other big political parties, is just how close-knit the SNP is. It is very much like a family, and these people, they're not just colleagues. They've been living in each other's pockets for the past 35, 40 years in some cases. They really are, a very close kind of world and close party. And they've, all gone on this journey together from being, a party of activists on the fringes to becoming a party of government. And that was fascinating. I think I didn't expect that degree of, intimacy within the party.
You've clearly got a great cast there, and there will be interesting perspectives from many of them. But a lot of focus will be there on Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon and the arc of their relationship. What's their relationship now? Because, at one point, of course, they were as close as could be.
Yeah, I think now as far as I can tell, there isn't a relationship there. But we only focus very much up into Nicola's resignation in 23. So I can't speak to the state of play of things today. It is incredible. It's an incredible story, their relationship. We cover in the first episode, Nicola Sturgeon's a teenage activist when she first encounters Alex Salmond, and they forged this partnership. And, for sure, it came apart. But, compared to other political partnerships, it was remarkably long-lasting. Look at other political parties.
Did you get a greater understanding of why it fell apart?
Yes, I think so. And I think we go into that, especially in episode 2. I think there were a lot of different expectations when the complaints against Alex Salmond emerged. I think there was a sense of, how would you say, Nicola was First Minister at the time. There was, so I think there's also that generational issue between them. Alex Salmond belongs to a different political generation to Nicola Sturgeon. And, there was a whole variety of reasons there that are in the series.
So what do you think viewers will get from these documentaries?
I think first of all, what I hope they'll take away is just how extraordinary the story of the SNP is in terms of how far they've travelled over the past 35 years. But also, I think what's very important is, you know, we can sometimes think of, you know, our leaders and the people who hold this huge degree of power over us as, you know, being these kind of quite mechanistic kind of workers, whereas actually, you know, human relationships govern everything. You know, they govern everything in the SNP, they govern everything in the Labour Party, they govern everything in the Conservatives. You know, you look at Blair and Brown or the Tories in the Brexit years, you know, and likewise with the SNP, human relationships structure so much of our political life. And I think, you know, that was the success of the SNP is inseparable from the relationships of the people at the top. And I think we cover that quite well.
I'm looking at your press release here, and there's a quote that says, "This is an emotional tale of ambition, power and broken friendships, and it reveals the human cost of devoting your entire life to a political cause." Yeah, well, that's quite a tease, isn't it? What's the human cost that will be revealed?
Well, I think it is the, you know, these people, as I said earlier, these people have been working side by side together for over 30 years. In the case of Nicola Sturgeon, her entire adult life. And, you know, in the case of Salmond and Sturgeon today, their relationship doesn't seem to be active, and all those memories and all those accomplishments are wrapped up in relationships that are now quite damaged, and that's a difficult burden to carry, I imagine.
I mean, you're a veteran of this kind of documentary, aren't you? I mean, you've also produced and directed The Rise and Fall of Boris Johnson, well, another one on Jeremy Kyle, which is perhaps different, but how does this one sort of rate in terms of your level of intrigue?
Oh, at the very top. At the very top. I've been fascinated by the SNP for years. I mean, if you look at their performance, especially in the 2010s, when, you know, in the context of Westminster as well, when the party, the Labour and the Conservatives, you know, they weren't comporting themselves very well, and the SNP had this incredible discipline that I thought was fascinating, and I just wanted to understand, where did that come from? Where did those abilities of political performance and rhetoric and you know, quite impressive politicking that they were able to perform, where did all that come from? And so this was just, you know, a sort of getting to the bottom of that, those years, those hard scrabble years throughout the 90s and the 80s of building this party discipline and this machine. It was, you know, fascinating. And, you know, to have at the centre of that story two kind of once-in-a-generation political talents like Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon, you know, working together within the one party is, you know, it's fascinating stuff. Yeah. Really fascinating.
And I'm sure it will be a fascinating watch. It will be available on iPlayer from tomorrow. It will also be shown on the BBC Scotland channel tomorrow and Wednesday at 10 p.m. So it's Salmond and Sturgeon, A Troubled Union. Barry, thank you very much indeed.
We are here to put a smile on your face. Some people think we're funny, some think we're a disgrace. We don't care, we'll stay on air every single morning, 'cause listening to the other shows is just dull and boring. The Chris Moyle Show.
It's 10:24. Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. Still to come this morning.
The reality is that this government considers violence against women and girls to be a national emergency, and a national emergency needs systematic change.
Yeah, that was MP Jess Phillips talking just after Labour came to power. We do have some alarming statistics on violence against females. So before 11, we're going to be talking about what will it take for women to feel safe. And of course, we have our savings surgery this morning. Personal finance expert Jasmine Birtles is here. I see lots of texts coming in already. 80295. But give her a call on 0808 592 95 below.
guys have come to you with a line that wasn't true, and you passed them by. Though you're in the center ring and their lines don't mean a thing, why don't you let me try? Let me try. Now I don't wear a diamond ring. I don't even know a song to sing. All I know is la 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 la. I love you. Oh, baby, please now. La 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 la. I love you. If I ever saw a girl that I needed in this world, you are the one for me. One for me. Let me hold you in my arms, girl, and fill you with my charms. I'm sure you will see. You will see. The things I am saying are true, and the way I explain them to you. Listen to me, la 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 la. I love you, oh baby, la 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 la. I love you. The things I am saying are true, and the way I explain them to you. Yes, to you. Listen to me, la 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 la. I love you. Oh, you have to understand now. La 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 la. I love you. Come on and take my hand. Yeah. La 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 la.
Now we have our savings surgery this morning. Personal finance expert Jasmine Birtles will be taking your calls from 11 o'clock this morning, though the lines are very much open now, so please do pick up the phone, 08085 92 95 00. You can leave a voice note on that or a WhatsApp message, but always best to speak directly to Jasmine. Or you can text, of course, 80295. We've got Fee in Edinburgh, actually, who's already been in touch, who wants to talk about pensions, but she's 28, so clearly is thinking ahead. Too many of us perhaps leave that decision until later on in life and regret it. Jasmine, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kay.
Good morning. Now, on the phone in, Jasmine, we were talking about the winter fuel payment, which of course is quite controversial, given that Sir Keir Starmer's intended to scrap it for all but the poorest pensioners, which is this phrase that we have started to roll off the top of our tongues without fully understanding what it is. But certainly what I learned throughout the phone in there was, the state pension situation seems to be really messy.
Yes, it is. There's all sorts of weirdnesses about it. And one of them, which really doesn't seem fair to me, is that you have the new state pension. And if you like, the younger pensioners are on the new state pension. And that apparently is going up to about £12,000 next year. But if you're an older pensioner, you're on the basic state pension. You'll see your your pension go up to £9,000 next year. There is quite a difference, and I really don't see, other than money, why there is such a difference between the older pensioners and the younger pensioners. It just seems very, very unfair to me.
And that is entirely down to date of birth, is it?
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to think of the actual date of birth, but I can't at the moment. But I think it's in the 50s. So, yes, the oldest pensioners are on a lower rate than the younger pensioners. Very odd.
Does the triple lock apply to all pensions then, though?
Yes, it does. So that means the triple lock, as you know, is that it means that the state pension will go up in line with whatever is the greater, whether that's 2.5% or the current rate of inflation or the current rate of wage growth. And we saw this year that it went up quite considerably, about 8.5%, because wage growth in the month that it was calculated, June or July, was suddenly really high. So that meant that pensioners got quite a boost. Mind you, they give with one hand and take away with another, because pensioners are subject to the same level of income tax as working people. So everybody has the same income tax level, that you're allowed to earn as much as you like up to and keep up to £12,570. But after that, you have to start paying tax. Well, by next year, because they're not moving that threshold, the £12,570, it means that more and more pensioners will be paying tax.
Well, do you know what percentage of pensioners are reliant solely on the state pension and don't have any sort of private or work pensions?
I don't, but it is quite high. It's a surprising number, and because I say surprising because I've been saying to people for a long time, don't assume that you'll be able to cope on the state pension, because it's a sort of it's a basic. It covers the basics, but really no more. But there are a lot of people, there are millions who are surviving just on that. And I do recommend to everybody, and I'm glad to hear that Fee at 28 is thinking about her pension, that one takes it a little bit seriously as young as you can. Just even just putting a little bit in, even if you have a couple of thousand extra a year on top of the state pension, that makes a big difference. So it really is worth putting a little bit aside if you possibly can.
Well, it must be concentrating people's minds, because just as you said this, another text popped in front of me from Marcia, and we can go over these at 11 o'clock, of course, who's got two young adult children working in the gig economy, and she's also wondering about setting up some kind of pension. So, we've been saying this forever. I mean, I can remember when I was young, it's never too late or never too early to start setting up a pension. But given what is happening with the state pension, would you really be urging people at the earliest of ages to look at some kind of private pension, or to make sure that they're going to have additional funds on top of what the state's able to provide?
Yes, I really would. And the great thing about doing it early is you only have to put a few quid in, because you've got so much time for that to grow. The other thing, of course, and I'm glad to hear that you've got a mother thinking about putting money in for her kids, but you can set up a pension for your baby. Literally, a baby can have a pension, and there are some rather canny parents around who are doing that. You can put up to £2,880 per tax year into a pension, and the government will top that up with the tax you would have paid. So if you're able to put the full amount, I know it's a lot, £2,880, but if you can, the government would top it up to £3,600 per year. And if you did that for the first, say, 12 years of your baby's life, you'd pretty much sort out its pension for it.
Really?
Well, it's because of time factor. Because they've got decades, to grow. So it's actually, I think it's a really clever investment. As I say, you don't have to. If you can only put a tenner a month in, do that. But you'll get a bit of extra tax added on. And after a while, it just sits there quietly growing over a few decades, and it's amazing how it can grow.
Well, yeah, very interesting. We'll speak more about that after 11. If you get any further questions on it, do get in touch. 08085 92 95 00 is the number to call, or you can text 80295. Just quickly before I let you go and get your cup of tea, Jasmine, in terms of savings rates, good news to a certain extent that inflation is coming down and maybe mortgage rates are starting to come down, but of course that does have an effect on the interest interest rate you can get on savings account.
Yes, there's ups and there's downs, and yes, savings rates are starting to just sink a little bit. The thing that keeps them up really is competition, and there is quite a lot of competition in the market. But as you say, as interest rates start to fall, to be honest, I don't think they're going to come down very much at all. But in America, they're already cutting their interest rates, and we tend to follow what America does. But it's hard for any central bank to think for itself, it seems to me. So it's likely that we'll have another small cut. I don't think it's going to be very much, but yeah, interest savings rates are going to come down faster than mortgage rates, I think.
Okay. Well, listen, Jasmine, as I say, it's cup of tea time for you, but you'll be back in position at 11 o'clock, ready to take any questions and calls to do with making the most of your money. We make it as broad as we possibly can. Obviously, pensions, we've got quite a few questions in on that, but any other savings or investments or indeed benefits you want to look at or ask Jasmine about, then please do pick up the phone 08085 92 95 00, or you can text 80295.
Nestle Wonderful!
Oh, I wonder, who what's in my wonder ball? Who knows what surprises a wonder ball can hide? Yummy Nestle chocolate with candy shapes inside. Oh, I wonder, what's in my wonder ball?
Toy Story! I got Lion King. Mine's Dalmatian. Lots of candy surprises, plus a sticker. Nestle Wonder Ball. It's candy and chocolate and foil in a box.
What's in your wonder ball?
It is 10:38. This is Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. Still to come this morning.
The UK and Ireland. 5 countries, 5 capitals, 900 kilometres between them. Let's go run the capitals.
Yeah, that is Johnny Davis there. I think it's Thursday that he starts this grand adventure to do about 900 kilometres in 10 days running the capitals. We'll be speaking to him before he sets off. And do remember, we have our savings surgery. Jasmine Birtles, personal finance expert, is here. She'll be helping you make the most of your money. Give her a call. 08085 92 95 00 or text her 80295.
Get in touch with BBC Radio Scotland.
You can
Shabba.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Salvation back where there is love. he doesn't, I'll be there. Don't you know, baby, yeah, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. Just call my name. I'll be there. Just look over your shoulders, honey. Ooh, I'll be there. I'll be there. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. Don't you know, baby, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. Just call my name. I'll be
Stats are fairly startling. More than 14,000 incidents of sexual assault were recorded in Scotland. That's the year 2022 to 23. More than 60,000 incidents of domestic violence, with the majority of victims women. A recent survey from ITV suggested that 81% of women polled aged 18 to 25 felt unsafe walking home at night. It's a level of violence against women and girls that Government Minister for Safeguarding, Jess Phillips, has described as a national emergency. So, big question, but what is it going to take for women to feel safe? We're joined this morning by presenter and DJ Daniela Galtieri. Good morning, Daniela.
Morning, Kay. Hiya.
Good morning. Dawn Brennan is the Chief Executive Officer of Wise Women. Is a charity that advises and supports women on safety. Hi there, Dawn.
Good morning, Kay.
Good morning. We've also got podcaster and broadcaster Sean McDonald with us. Hi, Sean.
Good morning.
Good morning. And at some point, I'm hoping that we'll have Michael Conroy from Men at Work. I don't know if he's joined us just yet. Dawn, a national emergency that sounds fairly dramatic. Do you think that's appropriate?
I think it's more than appropriate, Kay. We've been saying for a long time now that we have a major difficulty with violence against women in this country, as we do in other countries. And there's plenty of patterns and evidence to suggest that this isn't getting any better. So it's really good that the government's recognised this. But in Scotland, we've had the Equally Safe strategy to try and prevent violence against women and girls, and we don't seem to be getting anywhere when it comes to the actual numbers we're seeing coming through. So if we're declaring it an emergency, we're hoping that this will have an impact on thinking about how we change things so that we actually have a positive impact in keeping women and girls safer.
So, I mean, what do you know about the trend, Dawn? So there's the numbers trend. I mean, those numbers stand alone seem fairly dramatic, but it'd be good to hear from you what the trend in terms of the numbers is.
Yeah.
But also the nature of it. I mean, is it the same as it's always been, or is it changing in nature?
I think there's debate around whether we often hear that there's more historical reporting now, but there's no evidence to suggest that women's experience of violence and abuse has reduced either in numbers or in the levels of violence. Everything seems to indicate that it's continuing, almost like at stable numbers at a high level, but also that sometimes we're now seeing obviously more spaces, so women are experiencing violence and abuse online, and we often think of that as separate from in reality, but that's used for stalking, for frightening women, for silencing women. But we know as well that during lockdown and since then that women are telling us that they've experienced extremely difficult circumstances with very little chance to escape. And one of our main concerns is that because of the lack of protection that women and girls experience, they've been left to mitigate it by themselves. So that's a consistent issue as well, that it's women and girls that are having to find ways round about this, rather than as a society as standing up, holding abusers accountable, and also putting in place the services and support that would protect women and girls rather than just responding to their needs, which is vitally important. And we do provide extremely good services for women and children when they're fleeing violence. But what the place we want to get to is it doesn't happen in the first place. So we certainly see, and we know that internationally, where we see a reduction in the law, where we see conflict, where we see society maybe not functioning the way it previously done, that we see violence against women and girls going up. So anything that would suggest that we have lost any of that additional protection, which just now, because there are so many challenges after COVID and reduction in services and cuts to services, we would be concerned that we will see even more of an increase. But also what comes alongside that is emboldened behaviour where abusers are potentially more violent.
Daniela, what is the kind of reality of it for you, just going about your daily life? Is it something that you are aware of, a sort of lack of safety because you are a woman?
I would say so, yes. I mean, going back to the initial point you made about that walking home comment, I have countless encounters of walking home and issues happening and being face to face with situations like this. I mean, as a broadcaster, I work sort of unsociable hours, so some nights I'll work till midnight. And that there's not far for me to go, so I'll walk at home. But that there's things I just cannot do. Like, I'll walk into work during the day with my headphones on, quite the thing. I love my music, I love my tunes. But as soon as I leave that door at midnight, like, those headphones are not going on my head. Like, it's just not something that you can do. There's just that tangible. You need to have your sort of wits about you. You need to know what's going on with your surroundings. And as I've said, there's been a couple of times you're walking home, you're in the middle of nowhere, no shops are open, no cars are on the street, nobody's about, and there's been men crossing the road to come and speak to me, and you go, okay, it's not led to violence, but like your stomach does drop because you're left alone in this situation. Why are you crossing the road to speak to me at midnight when I'm alone? So I would echo the points that I've raised. It definitely does crop its head up.
That's a really interesting little scenario that you bring up there, though, Daniela, about, and we've heard this expression a lot, not all guys. There's a lot of guys who will feel, very defensive when they hear that. They say, well, I'm only coming across to say hello, what's the problem? I mean, Sean McDonald, to bring you in, sitting here in the studio, is it difficult for a lot of guys just to really understand what women are saying when they express this level of fear?
Personally speaking, no, I don't find it difficult to understand, but broadly speaking, it seems so. It appears to be. I mean, that example there, that's just weird. That's just bizarre to approach somebody at that time in a sort of dimly lit area. You're going to look scary and dangerous, and I think there are people who fail to... The lines are blurred for them of where it's appropriate to approach people and where it's not, and it shouldn't be, but it obviously is.
But is it because, if you are a nice guy, that you think, well, I'm not going to do anyone any harm?
I think any nice guy would then be conscientious enough to realise that you're going to make somebody feel frightened. Because I know loads of people do this. I do it. If I'm walking behind, you become conscious you're walking behind someone, cross the road, kind of make it obvious that I'm actually creating a distance here. I'm kind of separating myself from you. Because you might think, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm a nice guy. I'm quite harmless. I'm going to just keep walking behind. But I think if you are smart enough, you're going to realise, well, she's actually going to feel a wee bit threatened or intimidated or just nervous. So just don't be a weirdo. Cross the road and make it obvious, what you're doing. And I know loads of people that do that, but I know loads of people that don't as well. So
what kind of conversations do you have with the guys who don't?
I've never had the opportunity. There's never been a time where someone said, specifically they wouldn't cross the road. But again, broadly speaking, I think just make it clear.
Well, you must have had the not all guys conversation. You must have had blokes say to you, for goodness sake, I mean, yes, there's some bad guys out there, but most of us are... Yeah,
I mean, I have had that conversation, but you can apply that to everybody. Somebody does something terrible, you could say, not all Christians or not all Muslims. It's kind of just because you can't say, well... I don't do that. I'm not part of that. It kind of, when it comes up, you have to kind of pick it apart and say, that's weird. And you don't get to just say, well, not all guys. Yeah, but it's some. And that's enough.
Michael, what kind of conversations do you think we need to be having, and it's got to go beyond, conversations, because we've got Jess Phillips talking about a national emergency. One would hope there would be actions, and Donna, I'm sure there are actions that you would like to see taken. But if we're still at the conversation level, Michael, how do we how do we create common ground here?
It's a very, very timely question. Helen Lewis wrote an article about the horrendous situation in France with the man who had drugged his wife over years and organised for other men to rape her, and absolutely gruesome. And I retweeted that yesterday, I think the day before, and it basically saying, fellas, it's not good enough to say not all men, because it's too many men. Too many men. Don't get hung up on saying not all men. That's just a cop-out. It's too many. So what are we going to do about it? And most of the male responses I've got have been saying that is an aggressive accusation of all men and they don't do anything wrong. Like basically saying that I'm all right, Gov. I'm not a bad person, so how can you possibly say that? I mean, some of them are absolutely seething with rage. You know what Twitter can get like.
But feeling personally offended? Personally offended.
So what I try and do, and I'm currently, actually, this is my tea break. I'm training in North Wales. I'm training youth workers and social workers and high school teachers who work with boys and young men to have constructive dialogues with them that are not accusatory and not condemnatory, but that are able to reach really interesting, challenging kind of social questions. And for example, about sharing space, like walking behind a woman on a street. What would you do? And I've got a poll on Twitter. About 2,000 people have answered it, and the majority advice, as your previous speaker said, was like, just cross over. It's no skin off your nose, and if it makes her less stressed, then fine. What's the big deal? But there's a hardcore who's saying, no, I will not make any changes or allowances. I'm a good man. It's not fair to be thought of as bad, and therefore I'm going to carry on regardless. And that's a really tough nut to crack, but it's good that they're at least open about that. And then we can have the But the dialogues are better off when the lads are 12, 13, 14, 15, finding their way in the world. And they are in a place of great risk because there are so many negative social influences that want to recruit them. Your Andrew Tate, but also porn. The fact that porn is how most of our lads learn about sex should be a cause of absolute terror and national kind of emergency, because it's not a safe model to learn about intimacy and sex. So basically, all I can do and what I do is I try to support professionals, anybody who works with boys and young men, to have confident, respectful dialogues with them over time,